This video is about the top 10 countries in the world. Let's start and begin with list of the top 10 countries in the world. The 10th country in this list is Denmark. The Kingdom of Denmark emerged in the 10th century and includes two North Atlantic island nations, the Faroe Islands and Greenland. Along with Sweden and Norway, it forms Scandinavia, a cultural region in Northern Europe. Copenhagen, Denmark's capital, is home to notable institutions such as the Copenhagen Stock Exchange. The capital also serves as a hub connecting Northern Europe with the rest of the world, with the largest international airport in Scandinavia, an active port, a subway system and the Øresund Bridge, connecting the city to Malmö, Sweden. Through progressive taxation, Denmark employs a universal healthcare system in which citizens receive mostly free medical care. Higher education is also free. Unsurprisingly, Denmark's highly progressive government and societal structure creates incredible social mobility. Denmark has several leading industries including food processing, tourism and the production of iron, steel and machinery. Its main exports are processed foods, agricultural and industrial machinery, pharmaceuticals and furniture. Denmark's economy is based on the flexicurity model, which combines a flexible labor market with a policy for the unemployed. This flexicurity model allows for businesses to establish inexpensively and quickly, as there is scarce government oversight regarding matters such as terminations or work hours. The Danish corporate tax rate is 24.5%, but its income tax rate is among the highest in the world. The 9th country in this list is France. The influence France has on the world, both in the past and today, is difficult to overstate. Located in Western Europe, France is one of the world's oldest countries, and its reach extends around the globe through science, politics, economics, and perhaps above all, culture. The World Bank classifies France as a wealthy, high-income nation. French citizens look to the federal government to guarantee certain social services, such as education, healthcare, and pensions for retirement. The French economy is one of the world's largest and is a mixture of private enterprise and government involvement. Tourism is a major contributor to the economy. France generally tops lists of most visited countries. Other major economic sectors include industry, agriculture, energy, and defense. The country is one of the world's top exporters of weapons. The French people have traditionally been a mix of Celtic, Germanic, and Latin ethnicities. Waves of immigration in the 20th and 21st centuries, however, are altering the country's population. Immigrants typically come from Northern Africa and other parts of Europe. France has a rich cultural heritage. French literature began in the Middle Ages, and the country has a long history in fine arts, music, and dance. Cinema occupies an important place in the country's cultural life. French cuisine is popular around the world, as is the wine produced in the country. France is a founding member of the United Nations and has a permanent seat on its Security Council. Other major groups it belongs to include the European Union, World Trade Organization, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and NATO. The 8th country in this list is United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is a highly developed nation that exerts considerable international economic, political, scientific, and cultural influence. Located off the northwest corner of Europe, the country includes the island of Great Britain, which contains England, Scotland and Wales, and the northern portion of the island of Ireland. The nation's global influence has its roots in the British Empire that formed during the European colonial era and peaked in the early 20th century before embarking on decolonization following World War II. The United Kingdom of today dates to the formation of the medieval Kingdom of England, and later, the establishment of a constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy in the 17th century. The national government is divided between executive, legislative, and judicial branches.
The Prime Minister is the head of government and appoints members of the cabinet.
The capital city, London, is a major international financial center and one of the most visited cities in the world.
The banking and tourism industries are parts of a larger service sector that powers much of the nation's economic growth.
The Industrial Revolution began in the UK, and manufacturing, led by the automobile and aerospace industries, is a declining though still significant part of the nation's economy. The nation has a long history of major contributions to the arts and sciences. William Shakespeare is regarded as one of the greatest writers in the history of English literature. British scientists discovered gravity, hydrogen, and penicillin and developed theories in aerodynamics and natural evolution. The nation continues to be at the scientific and technological fore. Stephen Hawking has produced groundbreaking work in cosmology, and computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. The United Kingdom is home to some of the top universities in the world, including Oxford, Cambridge, and Imperial College London. The seventh country in this list is Australia.
The Commonwealth of Australia occupies the Australian continent.
The country also includes some islands, most notably Tasmania. Indigenous people occupied the land for at least 40,000 years before the first British settlements of the 18th century. Since the late 18th century, Australia has been influenced by British, Celtic, and US culture. In recent decades, however, immigration from non-English-speaking nations, primarily from Asia, has altered the nation's demographic profile and influenced its popular culture. Australia is considered a wealthy nation with a market-based economy that has a comparatively high gross domestic product and per capita income. Its economy is driven by the service sector and the export of commodities. Australia is a member of major international and regional organizations, including the United Nations, the Group of 20, the World Trade Organization, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. The sixth country in this list, Japan. Japan, one of the world's most literate and technically advanced nations, is an East Asian archipelago country made up of 4 primary islands and more than 6,800 others. While most of Japan is covered by mountains and heavily wooded areas, the country's people lead a distinctly urban lifestyle. Long culturally influenced by its neighbors, today the country blends its ancient traditions with aspects of Western life. The nation with the third largest economy in the world, Japan has largely bounced back from the manufacturing disruption caused by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami disaster. The country is among the world's largest producers of motor vehicles, electronic equipment, and steel. The service sector makes up the highest percentage of the economy in terms of gross domestic product and employment. Japan is known worldwide for its traditional arts, including tea ceremonies, calligraphy, and flower arranging. The country has a legacy of distinctive gardens, sculpture, and poetry. Japan is home to more than a dozen UNESCO World Heritage Sites and is the birthplace of sushi, one of its most famous culinary exports. The country has developed many forms of martial arts.
Its most famous traditional sport is sumo wrestling, which can trace its origins to the 8th century.
Japan is a member of several international organizations, including the United Nations, the Asian Development Bank, and the World Bank. The fifth country in this list is Sweden. The Kingdom of Sweden, flanked by Norway to the west and the Baltic Sea to the east, expands across much of the Scandinavian peninsula and is one of the largest countries in the European Union by landmass. Capital city Stockholm was founded in the 13th century, and border disputes through the Middle Ages established the modern-day nation. Despite its militaristic roots, Sweden has remained neutral in times of war for centuries. Instead, commitment to human rights, public service, and sustainability have helped to make it a respected leader in international affairs. Sweden operates under a model similar to those of other Nordic nations, heavily capitalistic with a large percent of spending going toward public service.
Once well above the global average, tax rates have decreased, and an advanced infrastructure and transportation network assist with equal wealth distribution.
Healthcare, as well as a college education, are free, and its people boast one of the longest life expectancies in the world. Almost all of Sweden's trash is recycled. Swedes are some of the world's most generous people, donating about 1% of gross national product to humanitarian aid programs each year. The society has continued to diversify, due in part to refugees who have been welcomed into Swedish borders. The fourth country in this list is United States of America. The United States of America is a North American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and military power. Likewise, its cultural imprint spans the world, led in large part by its popular culture expressed in music, movies, and television.
The American colonies declared independence from the British Empire in 1776 and were recognized as a new nation in 1783. The country nearly split in two during a civil war in the mid-1800s, but regained its footing in the 20th century, during which time it was on the winning side of both world wars. The U.S. is a constitution-based federal republic composed of 50 states. The U.S. economy is the world's largest in terms of gross domestic product, and also the most technologically powerful. The country's most significant exports are computers and electrical machinery, vehicles, chemical products, food, live animals, and military equipment. The U.S. also has the world's largest coal reserves. The third country in this list is Canada. Canada takes up about 2/5 of the North American continent, making it the second largest country in the world after Russia. The country is sparsely populated, with most of its residents living within 125 miles of its border with the United States. Canada's expansive wilderness to the north plays a large role in Canadian identity, as does the country's reputation of welcoming immigrants. Although the Norse briefly settled in Canada during the 10th century, European exploration accelerated in the 1500s. France and Britain angled for control over the region, with the British cementing their dominance in the year 1763. The country was a collection of British colonies until it became a self-governing dominion in 1867. The list of accomplished and eclectic Canadian writers and artists is long. Joni Mitchell, Avril Lavigne and Drake are just a few of the Canadians who have made an impression on modern music. Canada is a high-tech industrial society with a high standard of living. Trade agreements in the 1980s and 1990s dramatically bolstered trade with the U.S., and now the two counties are each other's largest trading partner. While the service sector is Canada's biggest economic driver, the country is a significant exporter of energy, food, and minerals. Canada ranks third in the world in proven oil reserves and is the world's fourth largest oil producer. The second country in this list is Germany. Germany, the most populous nation in the European Union, possesses one of the largest economies in the world and has seen its role in the international community grow steadily since reunification. The Central European country borders 9 nations, and its landscape varies, from the northern plains that reach to the North and Baltic Seas to the Bavarian Alps in the south. Germany employs a social market economy, open market capitalism that also carries certain social service guarantees. Its economy is one of the world's largest and Germany is one of the globe's leading importers and exporters. Services, which include industries such as telecommunications, healthcare, and tourism, contribute the greatest amount to the country's economy. Industry and agriculture are other significant economic sectors. Germany possesses a highly skilled, affluent workforce. The country's population is aging, however, raising questions about the high level of spending for social services. The overwhelming majority of citizens are ethnic German, with Turks and other Europeans representing significant minority populations.
Germany is one of the world's most popular migration destinations, though its open-door policy has become a point of contention in the wake of crimes committed within the country's borders recently. Chancellor Angela Merkel faced challenges to her power following her party's mediocre showing in the September 2017 national elections, a development that reverberated across the European Union. Culturally, Germany has produced some of the world's leading figures in the natural and social sciences, as well as the arts. The land that gave birth to the modern printing press, Ludwig van Beethoven and Immanuel Kant, has strong traditions in literature, music, and philosophy. Folk festivals remain popular in modern-day Germany, the most notable being the annual Oktoberfest.
The first and only country in this list is Switzerland.
Switzerland, officially called the Swiss Confederation, is a small country in Central Europe made up of 16,000 square miles of glacier-carved Alps, lakes, and valleys. It's one of the world's wealthiest countries, and has been well known for centuries for its neutrality. The Swiss Confederation was initially founded in 1291 as a defensive alliance among cantons. In 1499, the Confederation became independent from the Holy Roman Empire. In 1848, a new constitution turned the Confederation into a centralized federal government, ending a period of conflict.
Since then, the country has enjoyed relative tranquility.
Switzerland has low unemployment, a skilled labor force, and one of the highest gross domestic products per capita in the world, according to the CIA World Factbook. The country's strong economy is powered by low corporate tax rates, a highly developed service sector led by financial services, and a high-tech manufacturing industry. The country's cultural contributions are disproportionate to its small size. Swiss citizens have won more Nobel Prizes and registered more patents per capita than many other nations.
And its neutrality during periods of conflict attracted some of the world's greatest minds to immigrate, including James Joyce, George Byron, and Voltaire. Switzerland is also notable for its secretive banking sector.
Reporting rules and legislation have led to more transparency, but secrecy rules persist and non-residents are allowed to conduct business through offshore entities and various intermediaries. Switzerland's neutrality has long been honored by its European neighbors. The country didn't take a side in either of the world wars and is not a member of the European Union. As a result, Switzerland, particularly Geneva, is a popular headquarters location for international organizations, such as the International Committee of the Red Cross and the United Nations, though Switzerland did not join the latter until 2002.
The country is also a member of the IMF, WTO, and World Bank.